Hello everyone, my name is Casey Lloyd with Crit Till Dawn, and this is going to be a brief tutorial of the character sheet and general statistics for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. If you're familiar with other role-playing games, they each have similar stats, but these are just going to be for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and we're using Fantasy Grounds. So if you're new to Dungeons & Dragons, even though you're not using Fantasy Grounds, you should still have all this information on your character sheet. So let's get started. So here at the top, you have your character's name. You can customize that. This is your character portrait. Over here on the right-hand side is your character token. This can be changed and put onto the battle map. Here's your class, your profession, as it were, in Dungeons & Dragons. My friend is currently multi-classing as a barbarian ranger. You have your background, which is like your personality of your character. You have your race. He's a dragonborn humanoid, as you can see. Over here are your ability scores. You have strength, how strong you are in the world, dexterity, how nimble you are, constitution, which is related to your health, and this modifier actually affects your maximum hit points. Intelligence, which I call book smarts in the game of Dungeons & Dragons, and wisdom is like your street smarts. Charisma is how well people perceive you in the world. Over here you have your saving throws. Now in Dungeons & Dragons, it's really not the score, but it's the modifier that matters, because that modifier will be added to your dice roll. So let's say we need to make a strength check. Anything that has a dice on your character sheet in Fantasy Grounds, you can double click it and it'll make that roll. So let's make a strength check. It's going to roll a d20 and it's going to add +5 to that. Same thing with a saving throw. Let's say you need to make a dexterity save from a trap. Just double click anything with a dice. Boom, there you go. So back to the character sheet. You have armor class, which is how hard you are to hit. Your initiative, how fast you get to your battle. The speed of how fast you walk around in the world. This is your perception. This is how well you notice things within the world. Over here you have your maximum hit points. Fantasy Grounds has a section called wounds. On a normal character sheet, I think there's not a wound section. You just kind of remove it from your hit points if you're doing paper pencil. You have temporary hit points if somebody's giving you a spell with some heals. Here are your death saves. You can just click on these if you make a failed or a saved death save. One thing I want you to notice about the Fantasy Grounds character sheet is there are cubes and there are magnifying glasses. Anytime you see a cube, you can actually click into it and you get all the description about that particular thing. You can also do the same thing with your magnifying glass, which kind of shows how things are calculated within Fantasy Grounds. So if you're ever looking for additional information, go to the right sheet of your character sheet and find those cubes or magnifying glasses. All right, we're going to move on and we're going to go into separate portions of our character sheet. So we're going to move on to skills. Here are all your skills. They're related to your 6 ability scores, and these kind of tell you which ones they're related to. A star means that you're proficient. So Shaolin is proficient with athletics. If you wanted to make an athletics check, again, he's just going to double click that dice and it's added +9. There you go. Your abilities. These are all the things that you get for your class, your race, your background. This is your job as the player to keep track of these. The Dungeon Master cannot keep track of all of these stats for different characters, but again, you can just double click a cube and see what that's all about. Moving on to inventory. This is your inventory. This is where your equipment is going to be. If you ever want to equip something or unequip it, you're just going to click that. When you don't see anything, it's you're actually not carrying it. When you see a bag, you're carrying it. When you've equipped it, you now actually have it as a usable action. So let's say you have a piece of armor, you definitely want to equip it so it adds that bonus to your armor class. Down here at the bottom of inventory, you have your gold pieces, your treasure, your silver pieces, all that. Fantasy Grounds keeps track of your encumbrance, which is cool. So this is the maximum amount of weight that Shaolin can carry. This is what he can actually push or pull, and this shows how much he currently has on his person. Notes are regarding your personality traits, your height, weight, all that jazz, your alignment, personality traits, ideals, bonds. That's all stuff that you get from your background. And then down here you can add notes, and this is a great place to add notes from your campaign. You discover something. Oh, just hit enter. Discover. My keyboard is not hooked up properly, maybe? I don't know why. Suddenly I'm not able to type, guys, but you should be able to just type into that field additional notes, just like a Word document. Log is for Adventurers League, something that we don't use at Crit Till Dawn. Finally, this is your actions. So this is like where your weapons are held. And if you wanted, let's say Shaolin wanted to make an attack. So he's just going to, again, there's a dice icon. This is his attack. Just double click it in combat once he's selected a creature. So you just control click is how you make a selection on the combat board. And then to hit, that's a 28. That's a pretty good roll. So he's rolled to hit and then double click for your damage. Easy peasy. If you got spells, you can use a first level spell here. You click them off with these spell slots. And then again, anytime you want to look at something more in depth, you click the magnifier glass. So I control click somebody. I want to do cure wounds on them. I can just double click this. And there we go. It's added a heal status to somebody. Obviously, I'd have to control click, select them on the combat board. That's it, guys. That is the character sheet in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed that. Again, my name is Casey Lloyd. I'm with Crit Till Dawn. If you're interested in playing some games, head over to my website at www.crittd.com. I hope you found this informative. Give me a comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And I'm going to come at you guys soon with a quick tutorial on races, classes, and backgrounds. All right, take care.